Thunder, roaring, violence, feeling, death, screaming, life, breathing, light, blinding, thunder, roaring. Last time, you all continued the spree of violence you were on. Burning things, breaking things, killing people. With every bit of destruction, with every life taken, Agent Hightide felt a bit of relief, as he is currently the agent with the lowest sanity who is still clinging to his sanity at least somewhat. We ended on the exact moment of Hightide, Hunter, and Hallow. Thank you. I had to open up the thing. Hightide, Hallow, and Hunter executing 3 people inside the base while Hestia was outside the lab. So, the time is now 8:30 p.m. What do you all do?
So everyone's dead?
You've killed the 2 security guards. You've killed Dr. Jamie Campbell, Dr. Helen Klinger, who appeared out of the darkness to attack Hunter, but Hunter appears to have gotten the better of her. You've killed Dr. Philip Black. You've killed Dr. Ishii Takagawa. You've killed Evan Kozak, and you've killed Dr. Jingfei Xiang.
Does Hunter remember any other scientist who would be part of this project who would have the know-how to rebuild the equipment we've been destroying?
No. I think you've identified everyone on the base at least, and these are all the personnel who were involved in this project. There is, a greater conspiracy up the chain with a, much larger corporation funding all of this, but whether or not any of them would be able to recreate this place, you are doubtful. We fund it and try to get it started again, but, not immediately.
Have we destroyed all of the important pieces of equipment?
Yes.
Managed to get D this time?
D was factory reset, essentially, by Hunter. And was also in the building that we set on fire.
Which you guys are in still.
I imagine you guys have left at this point. Yeah. You walked in.
Once we confirmed all the researchers were dead. Yeah.
So Hunter's just going to flatly state, we've killed everybody important and destroyed everything important. What do you want to do now?
The signal is in us as well.
Yes.
We need to get it out.
It won't
or
matter.
Die.
Have we tried to get it out in other timelines?
I think you've certainly tried, but clearly you've never succeeded. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been more timelines out.
Right. It doesn't matter. We've tried before. It hasn't worked.
Just
We've
because
died
it
before,
didn't work before doesn't mean...
again.
But Hunter, just because it hasn't worked before doesn't mean it can't work now. Did we ever get this far before? And even if we did, this is a different branch. Anything can still happen.
Get this far isn't something that means anything.
I mean, last time, we didn't even get the researchers started to be killed before the guards were all on top of us, and I was getting shot in the chest.
Some people would say that's a good thing from their perspective. I think they would have preferred to live. Well,
They were
if you
infected
have
with the signal.
if you have a plan, then I'll go along with it.
You guys, we succeeded once with a memory wipe, right?
We succeeded once
No.
with a memory wipe. Is the Delta Green captured us? Did they just threaten to memory wipe us? Like we underwent
What do you?
a
Yeah,
bunch of
No.
mental reprogramming stuff.
Not that. One of us has an ability to wipe memory.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
can only do that to short-term memory. But I don't
I was
want
just wondering if Hestia would have remembered that at this point or encountered it.
In any of the times that I recall, have I ever tried to healing balm myself? Like trying to get rid of it? Or is the healing balm what it is?
You have healing bombed yourself in not only this timeline, but like plenty of them in the past. But it has never gotten rid of whatever this thing is now.
I think we might be a mission, folks. And we have checks his watch. Because he's a watch now, or always did. Smile. We have an hour and a half before the world ends. If we are the mission, if we are the only thing keeping the end of the world going, and it's because we have the signal in us, the song of the sky people, I don't know, maybe Delta Green has a way to get it out of us.
I think their way to get it out would be to stuff us in a tube and freeze us. And that might be the best option.
Didn't I try that? I made it out one of these times. And the world still exploded while I was on the way out. Like I was in a helicopter.
But High Tide was still alive, right?
The shadow monster spawned and time reset, and here we are again.
But that's because maybe because High Tide was still alive. Because you, Hestia, were also still alive. The signal still existed. It just didn't have its amplifier.
So
we need to get the signal out of us. Maybe Grace has something. Or maybe we just maybe we just all have to die.
No, that doesn't work.
Oh, you tried that? Fuck.
Well, it's been done to us many times. We just keep going again. I'm gonna be real. I would love to avoid doing that again and again as much as possible.
Everybody with an unnatural skill, so above 0, go ahead and roll that. And Hunter, I'll give you a plus 20. Well, not quite enough. Yeah, so
how on fire is the building that D's interface was housed in?
Very on fire at this point. If you guys
Okay.
have left it for a bit, I mean, it's a gasoline-fueled fire. It's starting to burn pretty hot.
Yeah. Hala will start heading back towards the atrium and its related components. I'm going to go see if there's anything in there, any equipment maybe that we can use. If they were tuning the signal to amplify it, maybe we can excise it. I have no idea how we would do that, but it's that or call Grace in my mind right now.
okay. The atrium was also on fire, right? We caused an electrical fire.
Yep, they all have electrical fires in them currently.
Oh, that's not great.
Yeah, it didn't make me feel better either. Only the killing did.
Maybe, all right, here's Maybe it's because I'm going insane, but you've all seen those crackpots around on the news. On maybe you have been on the internet. It's 2005. The internet exists. And if you've been on the internet, maybe you've heard about these crazies who wear tinfoil hats. Maybe we just have to wear tinfoil hats or some form of metal on our heads.
It's already inside us. We can't.
So we just never take the hats off again.
I mean, we can try and call Grace and see if they have a solution for memetic viruses.
I'm on board with that idea. I just want everybody to understand that if we call Grace and tell her that this has happened to us, we might become targets in the next hour and 20 minutes.
Are we aware of them deploying other units in any of the timelines?
Yes, because Hestia talked to one of you guys. Or at least other H cells. Not Hestia, hematite. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in any of the timelines that I have seen, has Delta Green responded with anything other than H cell?
No, it's always been H cell.
Okay.
Different forms of H cell, but it's always been H cell.
Question. Can I mess around in my medicine bag and essentially get a very, very strong paralytic?
You probably could, yeah. I don't know if you might have something like that. I don't know. I don't know everything about being a medicine.
What are you trying to do with that?
Yeah,
basically get a shot that can kill
sedative
somebody
or something. I mean, there are plenty of things. I guess I was gonna say you're at a very fancy lab that probably has a lot of stuff, but it's on fire at the moment.
We still have a lot of problems with fire.
You probably have, we'll say without specifics, you probably have some kind of medication that you could give somebody an overdose. It may not be pretty, but yes.
Need to roll to kind of subtly prepare that?
I mean, subtly, as in hiding that you are doing it at all, would probably be stealth. But if you're just trying to like pass it off as doing something else, like, oh yeah, no, I'm just preparing, I don't know, a different kind of medicine, then that would probably be persuasion. I'll let you choose your approach there.
Yeah, let's try persuade. Make it seem like I'm reorganizing and refreshing my first aid kit from all of our near-death experiences.
Okay.
I'm not even going to try to human that.
Yep. To everyone else, it appears that Hestia is just... Maybe there's a bit of panic to your emotions that kind of helps sell what you're doing. Like, it seems like you are just nervously organizing things. And that just, helps sell that you're not doing anything shady in a roundabout way.
Well, if none of you have any better ideas, I think I'm going to call Grace. If we're a mission, we're a mission.
Do it.
We've been a mission before.
I'm most likely at this point, with how low my sanity is and knowing that the killings make me feel better, is the guard shed on fire?
No, it is a separate shed.
Are there grenades in it?
There are no grenades in it. but you look through it. Looks like there was a place for a rifle to be like just racked in there, but it's clearly, been taken. There's some spare ammunition, spare body armor.
Darn it.
All right.
Lost
So
it, and Hallow has also lost it at this point, right?
he's not. No, Hallow's still sane. He's really feeling it.
I'm still sane as well. I'm just barely clinging on.
Yeah, I'm more than barely. Above table, I still have 31 sanity.
Okay.
I have 10.
Yeah, Hallow's just really trying to get himself out of this situation. Doesn't want to die, but also realizes that might be the only way. He was kind of going down that path the last time we were here as well.
Yeah. So, I guess, yeah, let's call Grace.
All right. Wish us all luck. And he dials Grace.
Yes, Agent. Status report.
Speaker?
Yeah, he puts it on speaker. Grace, we've eliminated everyone at the research site, set everything on fire. We have reason to suspect that the event is still going to happen. We think we might be parts of the source.
Do you have any way to erase memory or treat a memetic virus? Short of mass suicide.
Which we also have heard doesn't work. Just killing ourselves doesn't do it.
You hear the other end of the phone get muffled a bit, and then like some voices talking in the background. Like Grace is discussing things with somebody on the other end, and then she comes back. Sorry to hear that, agents. I'm afraid to tell you that we suspected this all along, but the course could not be altered, regardless. You see, we selected you for this mission because your names came up. ACEL found notes scribbled on their own hands, on the tags of their clothing, anywhere that they would normally hide notes for themselves to find later. But they don't remember writing them. When they showed up with your names written down. Sorry for not informing you of this sooner. We wanted to ensure we understood the situation first.
The scientists here were definitely infected as well. So they're at least no longer a problem.
Yes, that makes sense.
And that, to echo Hestia, does that include her? She hasn't been part of this nearly as long as the rest of us.
Yes, the notes all included your 4 code names, specifically.
Well, that's not great. What do we do now?
Well, agents, you should think. Think very deeply about what you've seen there, but I'll caution you against that as well. If you've seen anything unusual, unnatural, you may have found a key. There may be a clue hidden there somewhere. But, Agent, if it comes to it, you all will be targets. I've already sent a squad into your location. It will take them some time to get there. I don't know if they'll get there on time, but...
That's the possibility that we considered before making this call. So, any artifacts that we might be able to find or already have might be the key.
Artifacts, there may be some clue hidden in the behavior of the researchers, of the particulars of the equipment and the process. I don't know. Just any detail could be worth considering. You still have a little over an hour. You still may be able to solve this, agents. Just think.
Understood. We'll call you again in an hour.
Godspeed, agents. She hangs up.
Was it the same person in every one of them that was able to phase in and out of reality?
Yes. Dr. Klinger every time. So you only knew her name a couple of the timelines. Like, pretty much every time she appeared, she was extremely violent and was babbling incoherently, clearly already insane, and just started shooting.
Her
Seemed
role
to
in
have
this.
some. What's up?
Like, from our personnel list, what did Dr. Klinger do?
Dr. Klinger was just one of the researchers, one of the senior researchers here. Not the lead researcher, but yeah.
Do we know what, like, the specialty was?
I think this entire place is essentially like quantum physics. So yeah,
Okay.
her, Jamie Campbell, all of that, all just quantum physics stuff.
Okay, but nothing that would have given us a clue as to why she would be the one working in a location that would make her phase in and out more than the others.
Right. I mean, you know, like Dr. Takagawa was found inside the atrium, but you don't know where Dr. Klinger was.
So Hala will start going through the effects of the researchers who were not thrown on the pyre, as it were, which might only be Klinger at this point.
Was Dr. Takagawa blind in all of them, or did he lose any of his other senses?
He was always blind. Yeah.
He's also in the very on fire building.
Yes.
Did we take any bodies out of that building? Because otherwise, Dr. Klinger's in there too.
I'll leave you guys. I'll leave it up to you guys. There were 3 bodies inside the lab, and Dr. Campbell's body is out in the back. The security guards are both outside.
Yeah.
I think
I think those guys were on the gas tank. We were stashed near the gas tank we used to start the fire.
yes. I think Jingfei and Philip Black are both in the fire.
Those
'cause
two
they're-
were definitely there.
They were next to the gas. So
Maybe also checking the guards to see if maybe they had the guards in the guardhouse to see if they have any anti-mimetic equipment or anything that, because clearly these guys were not affected. We tried humming the song at them one time, it didn't affect them. So maybe they had some defense against it, something that they could use or were using to cleanse themselves regularly.
sure, give me a search
Who's
roll.
got the highest search roll?
I've
That's a
got
good
74.
question. Could be a
I
group
also have
search roll, so-
74.
Ooh.
Well, it'll be one roll, and the goal is 74. It doesn't matter who rolls it.
I think you're a little bit more sane, so I think it would make sense if you did it.
Yep. Nice.
Nice.
In some games, that's an automatic critical success. Not in this game. You very thoroughly search the bodies. You search their pockets. You search through both guard stations. You send somebody running down to the guard station, like in the main wall of the dome, and they all look pretty normal, right? The guards have phones on them. They have like their weapons, but otherwise everything here is pretty bare. Like there are rows of screens to view cameras through in these buildings and so on, but nothing that strikes you as like specific, like Bureau of Control type stuff. Like they're not specially trained soldiers to deal with unnatural stuff. They're just soldiers happened to be hired to, or guards happened to be hired to, deal with this stuff. No special equipment, at least.
I am looking back through notes, and there was a glowing blue liquid.
From
And-
Takagawa.
Yeah, and Takagawa was asking for water. Did we ever get to the bottom of that?
I'll answer that. Yes, Dr. Takagawa was emitting ultraviolet radiation, so his body fluids were glowing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. While I'm in one of the guard towers, do I have access to security video?
Yeah, most of the cameras are down at the moment, but there are some cameras still outside both guard posts that are pointing, and like a few scattered around the walls of the dome.
I would
you
like
can
to
see
pull
through
up
those.
the records for the time frame of the incident we were called to inspect.
Ah, okay. Absolutely. You start to scrub through. We'll see a scene of you leaned over the computer terminals, and like there's blood on the wall from one of the guards being shot outside the guard post. And you're just scrubbing through the footage. And at the time that the incident originally happened, the sort of power spike they experienced here, there was a flash of white light and a very loud sound that just kind of blinded all of the cameras for a moment. And when the cameras came back on, like pretty much everyone was just like on the ground, like hands on their head, like that kind of thing, looking like they're in a lot of pain. And they kind of grunted and stood back up and shook it off and got back to work. There was also like a lot of the lights were flickering after that from probably what was the power surge. But yeah, the guards seem to have noticed the light, but weren't impacted in the same way that the researchers were.
Going back to immediately before the light, which building showed the first sign?
Like, where was the light coming from?
Yeah, or like if it was a surge, which building got hit first?
Yeah, I don't think that shows up in the footage. And the buildings are all very close together, fairly small buildings. Just all the cameras kind of get blinded at once when the power surged. I don't think anything special shows up there. It doesn't necessarily look like the light is originating from anywhere. It just kind of looks like there was a bright light, which maybe strikes you as a bit unnatural. So roll me a sanity check, please.
All right.
All right, you're fine. You've seen weirder
And
shit.
What are the
looking at the whatever was happening with in the room with eyes on D and the room with eyes on the laser, what activities immediately preceded that?
Preceded?
Yes.
Because
I think they've got the data thing up and running.
Yes.
So I'm looking into that type of stuff. Anything from that day where they got stuff up and running that would have struck me as odd or unusual, made everybody flinch, other than the light.
Okay. I think so the array came on at 10 in the morning, and then it was on for more than 5 hours before there was the power surge. So they're already collecting data until about 3 p.m. And then the power surge happened at 3:28:55, and you notice looking through the feed around that time that Jingfei leans towards D as if puzzled by something that popped up on the screen, and you can see her move the mouse over to click on a very large pop-up that appeared, and then she starts to tilt her head as if she's listening to something. This was right before the power surge.
Okay.
Hala was having a maybe similar related thought on his own that what are the chances that we have to sing the song? What if the sky people aren't the enemy, but they're what would fight whatever's going to crack out of that dome?
Didn't we get that idea when we were talking to Hestia? They said the sky people helped them or something.
You mean when we talked to Hematite?
Yes, sorry.
Hallow will check actually the notes from Hestia's. Sorry, from when he spoke to Hematite on the phone when she recounted her journal to him.
Yeah, there was some kind of huge monster in the woods. There was a whole other opera that happened with a different H cell at this time. Well, before now, technically. And the Sky People, essentially, a deal was made with them, and they took care of the problem. Essentially, what Hematite had told you.
And were those woods near here?
No, not particularly. They were back in Vermont.
Okay.
Not the farthest ever, not across the world, but not near here now.
Hunter in character would definitely not be suggesting this, but what if we asked Dee to take the signal and create an inverse of it, and then play it back to us?
We'd have to hop another timeline because we burned Dee's building.
I feel like Dee's probably still around here somewhere.
Yeah, I
If
was
you
ripping
guys-
and tearing and had Dee on fire the last time, and Dee was still singing.
Enough time has passed. Everybody give me a sanity check.
Do I have to, since I'm already at
Oh
negative
no,
one?
you're insane. You're fine. In fact, there is no impact at all on Hunter. Okay. This will be. That is not how you type. 4 points of sanity loss on a failure, 1 point on a success. As you all feel that rising tension, that rising fear, like from the pit of your stomach, as all of your biological senses tell you to run, as like there's this primal fear, this primal danger that your instincts are just tuning into, as your mind starts to get like stretched out a bit. You feel like reality flex, and you almost like can see that reality is not real. You feel like everything is around you is fake. You feel like you're disassociating from everything. And then the moment passes, and you're all back. But you still just like hear this thunder kind of echoing through the dome.
I am currently not back. I'm either catatonic or wandering off because I just hit my breaking point.
Ooh, let's go. All right, so High Tide starts wandering away.
Hallow busts out whatever, he breaks out his phone or whatever piece of equipment that he can record audio on and then play it back in reverse.
Okay. You probably have a phone on you. You
Yeah,
used to take
so
tapes to take notes. Do you still have tapes?
Yeah,
tape
I
deck?
think he has a
There you
tape
go.
deck.
I think Hestia's going to drop the kill somebody syringe and pull out the tranquilizer syringe because, let's say, in her pretending like she organized her bag, she actually did organize it some.
Okay.
And we'll stick it into High Tide.
So while High Tide is wandering away, you just catch up with him, taking advantage of his sort of unattentive state. And I will give you plus 20% on your. This could probably be like a pharmaceuticals roll or some kind of. If you have like a medicine roll that seems similar to that.
Yeah, I have pharmaceuticals.
Let's go with that then. Okay.
No worries.
So you jab that into him, and High Tide begins to enter into a deep sleep. And
I'm going to try and drag him back to the group.
all right, as you do that, everybody roll me a sanity check again. Everybody who has sanity, I should say. Specify.
Is that me too?
I know you're unconscious. You're fine. So you are deeply asleep. But Hestia and Hollow, both of you, within like a few moments of Hallow hitting the ground, feel a little bit of weight lift off of your shoulders.
Or high tide.
So yeah, High Tide hit the ground. Both Hestia and Hallow feel a weight off their shoulders.
Okay. Do we lose sanity?
Hallow.
Not.
Hallow looks over at Hestia. He's not dead. He's just unconscious.
Yep. I give
Knock
him a
us all out.
tranquilizer.
Do it.
Okay. I will tranquilize everyone and then myself.
Hunter does not resist. He just looks at her and says, I hope this is what you wanted.
We'll see. See you on the other side, maybe.
You all lay down in the field outside the lab, enter into a sleep that you hope to wake up from. Your last desperate move to stay alive through this harrowing event. Yes.
And before I fully knock, like after I inject myself, but before it fully kicks in, I'm going to text Grace what we've done.
Okay.
We knocked ourselves out. Seemed like that helped. So if the world doesn't end, can you come find us?
Well, they've already sent a team to take care of us. They'll just put some pillows under our heads in the body bags.
Yeah. Or hopefully not body bag us.
Yeah, that. Basically saying, hey, we're
Well,
gonna...
it's very convenient for taking us back to base.
Yeah. This is the best solution we have. If your team gets there and the world hasn't ended, please don't kill us. Just take us back and let us wake up.
We're going to see a time lapse here. You guys all lay in the field, drift off to sleep. Your anxieties fade away as they are forcibly removed by you by medicine. And you are pushed into sleep against your will, whether you want to or not. High Tide is probably the one who's most at peace out of all of you. I don't know if Hunter can feel anything anymore. But regardless, sleep finds you all. And we see a top-down view of you as the camera drifts up towards the top of the dome. And we just see time passing. We can tell because like the grass moving around and the trees and stuff move a little bit faster. And then reality splits in half. At exactly 10:03:37, a tear in reality opens and a shadow tentacle reaches out, just as you saw it before. But as it gets out, only 30 feet, 40 feet out into the air, the hole in reality snaps closed once again, severing the tentacle. It falls to the ground and thrashes about and struggles around trying to find anything it can. It swarms over to the on-fire atrium and just starts slamming into it over and over again. It seems to be hunting for something. It's snooping across the ground anywhere it can. Delta Green agents arrive. It charges them. The camera view is still an overhead shot of all of you in the field, and you just see the tentacles swarming at the Delta Green agents. Bullets firing, grenades being thrown. Terrible sounds of violence all around you, but the four of you are asleep. The tentacle seems to ignore you, but it chases the agents. As it fights, it begins to fade. There are pulses. Pulses that those of us who have been watching along with these events recognize as the beat of the song. And every time it pulses, it gets a little dimmer, and a little dimmer, and a little dimmer, until it is no more. A few Delta Green agents are still alive. And as they approach all of your unconscious bodies on the ground, we fade to black. Where do we find all four of you a few years after this event?
We survived?
You survived. Delta Green has taken you in, they've taken you alive, and I'm going to leave it up to your agency as the player running your character what happens to them. Get institutionalized by Delta Green? Do they just decide they have to kill you? Do you just go back to regular life? Do you stay a Delta Green agent? Let's start with Hallow.
Hallow does eventually get released. It's not right away. In fact, he requested to stay there a little bit longer to help recover his sanity a little bit, become a little bit more grounded. Also, volunteering himself for some anti-mimetic virus experimentation. With all of this done and over, he wants any remainders of the song or the Sky People's influence out of his head. And whether they get it out or not, he eventually goes back to his little PI agency with Isolde, proposes, and eventually they get married. And he puts all of this Delta Green business behind himself. Goes back, they shutter the agency and just go back to being kind of a bookstore and cafe.
The ending for Hallow. How about Hestia? Where do we find Hestia?
Yeah. When, put a lot of time into rebuilding all of her bonds and getting therapy. And I think at this point, she is one of because she's adapted to violence, she is the one ER specialist who hasn't burned out in a few years. She goes back to work and just keeps working, and somehow nothing she sees seems to faze her. So she goes to work and spends her life mending bodies. I think she never formally leaves Delta Green in terms of being willing to pass information along, but I think she also kind of made it clear that she's probably, unless there's an emergency, she's not going to be a good fit for a new cell.
Yeah, returning to friendly status, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very good. How about
And
High Tide?
basically said,
Sorry.
if you're in such a huge crisis that you're instituting friendlies, I'll come back, but that's the only option.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes emergencies do require the friendlies to take action, but... High Tide, where do we see you?
So, I feel like when I'm waking up again and coming back to consciousness, it definitely takes a long time for them to release me. With the combination of potentially the catatonic state that I was almost in, and the fact of the megalomania and all of that stuff, and it takes me a long time to convince them that I'm clinging on to something, and that something is my wife. And so with all of my other bonds destroyed with my father and my best friend, I convinced the two of us to, not sure exactly where the Silicon Valley boom is in 2005, but moving over to the West Coast and kind of joining the tech sector as a maybe computer scientist or a programmer.
I feel like the book was kind of the tail end of the .com boom, that kind of thing, so might be kind of in that region. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And Hunter, the insane one, what happens to you?
Hunter is essentially experimented on by Delta Green for several years, and eventually you could say his sanity is restored, but he remains very, very similar to his fatalistic and emotionless state that he achieved at the end. But it turns out that lots and lots of outdoor therapy and outdoor work is able to get him into a workable condition again, and he becomes a very useful asset for Delta Green, somebody who's completely loyal to everything they ask of him, who has almost no care for any consequences that might arise because it really doesn't matter. He achieves almost perfect mastery over the exaltation of the flesh as time passes, allowing him to be put to work that most normal humans are not going to achieve without some kind of supernatural augmentation. But he keeps remembering the last interactions that he had with H-Cell, his absolute surety that they would be put to sleep, and when he woke up, it would be yet another of the infinite timelines. The fact that they woke up and everything was over is something he has been completely unable to reconcile. And he's always wondered if maybe sometime in the future he'll catch a glimpse of something that he no longer feels like he completely understands, that might make him start to imagine a future rather than predict it. For reasons that he doesn't really understand himself, he finds himself taking young, new Delta Green agents under his wing and feeling some stir of emotion that he refuses to acknowledge when he sees them grow in their skills, in their confidence, and into a kind of person that Hunter might have, in another better world, one day become.
And so our agents have gone their separate ways. Having finally put to rest this event that was put in motion for them years prior, something that was always destined to happen, the center of the spiral, the end of their journey, and just before everything fell apart, you all succeeded in saving reality. And so you are rewarded with a peaceful rest of your lives. And that is where we end our story together. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for running.
Thank you so much for running this.
Very cool.